Hey guys, John V here from Phone Arena. You're watching our in-depth video review of the Sony Xperia Ions, the upcoming flagship device that's headed to AT&T's lineup, sporting a $100 2-year contract price, so very competitive. It follows after the Xperia S that we've seen, the Xperia U, and it's pretty much the high-end device you'll find on Sony's lineup. It sports a 4.6-inch HD display, you have a dual-core processor, LTE connectivity, and it's also PlayStation certified. Much like some of the other recent Xperia devices out there, the Ion follows with the same exact design characteristics. It has a curved back cover. You know, it's a little bit larger, so it's kind of unwieldy at the same time. Not the thinnest out there, but it's fairly streamlined. Weighty, just because of choice materials, but we like it just because it gives it a good amount of durability, though it does display some smudging right there. Overall, it's a nice looking handset, decent, but not quite as attractive compared to the HTC One X or the Nokia Lumia 900. Visually, we like the Ion's 4.6-inch 720p HD reality display with mobile Bravia engine. It has a really good pixel density, sharp details. We're able to make out fine text, no problems whatsoever. And it's not as oversaturated with its colors compared to AMOLED. Very neutral tones, acceptable viewing angles. Brightness output is above average, but we still find ourselves shielding it away from the sun. The only issue that we have is that there's no automatic brightness setting. It's all manual. But when it comes to videos, watching videos, we like how the mobile Bravia engine adjusts the color saturation to better adapt for your watching needs. So yeah, the Ion doesn't have that cool translucent strip found on the Xperia S and Xperia U. Instead, it resorts to using regular Android capacitive buttons. Unfortunately though, they are still very difficult to actually activate or press, and backlighting is non-existent. You have these dashes below each one of them, but they're very poor with their backlighting, so it's very hard to see them. Meanwhile, above the display, you have the earpiece, you have the front-facing 1-megapixel camera, which has the ability to shoot 720p videos. On the left side phone, hidden behind this plastic flap, we like the fact that the Ion packs some convenient things such as the micro USB port and a micro HDMI out port. The only thing we find on the top edge is just the 3.5mm headset jack. There are quite a few physical buttons on the right side of the phone. You have the dedicated power button, volume control, and even a shutter key. They're raised slightly, so it's still rather difficult to feel them out, and on top of that, the response isn't that great. In the rear, the Ion sports a beefy 12-megapixel autofocus camera with an Exmor-R sensor and the ability to shoot 1080p videos. You have the single LED flash, and these micro dots make out its speaker grill. Typically, the US doesn't see as many Sony Android devices, so the experience here is going to be somewhat foreign to some people here. But it's in fact the same exact one found in the Xperia S. It's dubbed as the next user experience from Sony, and it's more minimalistic, kind of clean looking. It has a lot of transparent widgets here. If you do pinch gestures, it gives you all the main widgets here. You can quickly jump into a specific home screen. The app panel is laid out in your traditional grid-like view. The notifications panel is pretty barren. It would be nice to see some quick settings right there, like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, but you have a separate widgets area for that. And you know, it's nice looking. We definitely like it. Takes advantage of the HD display, but doesn't quite feel as comprehensive in terms of functionality when compared to things like the TouchWiz Nature UX or even the HTC Sense 4.0 experience. Powering the Ions, none other than a dual-core 1.5 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon S3 processor with 1 GB of RAM. So it's not the newer S4 chip inside there, it's the last generation. And for the most part, we're fairly content with its overall speed and performance. It's never to the point downright unusable, but we do notice that it's not as fluid with its operation compared to other newer devices like the Galaxy S3. But nevertheless, it handles most things well, even with live wallpaper here. The benchmark scores aren't the greatest or the highest that we've seen out there, but again, we really can't hinge on on scores to see how well a device performs, but it is running Android 2.3 Gingerbread. When it comes to typing messages on the Xperia Ion, it's not that much of a problem. You have two different options here. You have either the Xperia keyboard or you can use the Android keyboard, whichever you prefer. They're both very responsive. The layout, you know, not the most spacious, but it's more than adequate enough, especially in landscape. We didn't have any issues using it. Outfitted with an LTE radio, of course the web browsing experience is going to be lightning fast. We managed to get really fast data speeds, both upload and download. But as far as the web browsing performance goes, you could tell a little bit on the jerky side as you're kinetic scrolling here. It does offer flash support, but when you have a lot of it on screen, it kind of bogs down the overall experience. It's never to the point horrible, but you just notice the jerkiness that's going on. Compared to some other AT&T Android devices, the Xperia Ion has a very different looking music player that we typically don't see. Very appealing with its presentation. We like the color schemes going on when you're browsing through music, lays it down in different categories, and when it's playing a song, it gives you all the elements, the album cover, the on-screen controls. You have this ability to switch songs very quickly just by scrolling like that. The audio quality of the speaker, though, it's rather weak, and there are a variety of different equalizer settings which pump up the overall tone, but still has a little bit of distortion heard through it. Gotta admit, the Sony Xperia Ion is definitely a great device to use for watching videos, thanks to its mobile Bravia engine, which compensates for a variety of different things. It adjusts things such as the contrast, the saturation of the colors, and it definitely comes off appealing, especially with its 4.6-inch HD display. The video we have here is encoded in DivX 1920 by 1080 resolution. You can tell it looks stunning, moving at a fast rate, large display, so it's pretty good in all aspects, and it does offer support for a wider range of codecs. One cool useful feature found with the Xperia Ion is the fast capture ability. So basically when it's turned off, you can just hold down the shutter key and hold down, and in 2 seconds, under 2 seconds, it takes a snapshot just like that. So it's fairly quickly. You have some variety of different scene modes to choose from, and also some additional options. But in terms of just manual settings, it's pretty much non-existent with it. So the Xperia Ion features a larger than normal 12 megapixel autofocus camera with the Exmor R lens in there. And as far as the overall quality, we're not really blown away, but we're accepting of it. It delivers some nice looking outdoor shots, good balance between its color reproduction and also details, but it tends to look a little bit over sharpened at times. In low lighting conditions, unfortunately, it takes forever for it to actually to focus, so it tends to cause some blurring, but the LED flash does a good job illuminating the scenery, and overall it's a good point and shoot replacement. Likewise, the Ion's 1080p video recording quality is the same. Nice looking details, tends to be a little bit over sharpened, but it moves at a steady rate of 30 frames per second, so very quick. Nice natural looking colors, but again the issue is the fact that it just has difficulty when it comes to focus. It has continuous autofocus, but it takes a while for it to adjust, so if something comes close or goes far away, it takes at least like 4 to 5 seconds for it to adjust that. On top of that, there is a little bit of distortion when it comes to audio recording. On the one hand, we definitely like the clear and distinguishable voices we're presented with on both ends of the line. No problems with conversations, but just the volume output we're concerned about. The earpiece, it's very low, so we got to really jam it close to our ear, and when we switch to using the speakerphone, the same problem persists. It's just very weak with its overall volume. Signal strength remains to be average with the Xperia Ion. It doesn't fluctuate that much and didn't drop any phone calls during our testing. It could be due to a combination of things, such as the fact that it's packing a S3 processor as opposed to the more energy-efficient S4, or it could be the fact that it's running Gingerbread, but we're not that impressed with the battery life compared to some other HSPay Plus enabled devices out there, and we managed to get less than 1 day's worth of normal usage out of it. On LTE, you can expect that figure to drop even faster just because it's a big drain, and at the same time, we notice that the handset gets a little bit toasty when you use it for long periods of time, especially when you're connected via LTE. However, it's worth noting that packaged with the handset is a rapid charger, so charge the handset's battery a lot faster than some traditional wall chargers. 6 months ago, when we were first introduced to the Sony Xperia Ion, this was a beast of a phone. It featured all things that you'd want out of a high-end device, especially from Sony. A 4.6-inch HD display, you have LTE connectivity, a dual-core processor, a 12-megapixel camera, so a lot of stuff going along with it. And right now, it's priced at $100 2-year contract, so there's a lot of value for this guy. You also get a PlayStation-certified device, so once they open up a PlayStation store for Android, you'll be able to take advantage of that experience. But still, you know, there are some compromises made. It doesn't quite look as appealing compared to the HTC One X, nor does it have the complete set of functionality that we find with the new TouchWiz Nature UX experience. But nevertheless, you know, it's decent. Yes, it is running Gingerbread right now, but hopefully they come out with ice cream sandwich in a timely manner. But if you're looking for, you know, something that's not going to cost too much out of your pockets, you know, you don't have the money to spend something that's $200, there's definitely a good choice for you. So if you'd like to learn more about the Sony Xperia Ion, guys, check out our website, phonearena.com. This is John V. Again, thanks for watching.